Is this the perfect meat for barbecue? It's called the money muscle.
A big thanks to Borniak Smokers for sponsoring this video.
This is it, the money muscle. And I must say, that looks good. Some people might instantly recognize this, but some people might wonder, what is it? Well, it's part of the bust and butt, and you can recognize it by the stripes of fat that run in this direction. If you see this, you know you have your eyes on the money muscle. In competition barbecue, this is a prized piece of meat, because in the KCBS sanctioned barbecue competitions, you're allowed to cut this muscle out of the bust and butt after you cooked it until the FDA approved food safe temperature. Then you can prepare it to perfection. And if you give this to the judges, they will fall in love with it and give you all of their prizes. Seriously, that's not really how it works. Of course, you have to be the one that cooks it to perfection, because this piece of muscle is actually the best part of the bust and butt. And to me personally, I think this rivals with the pork belly as my favorite piece of pork. I selected this one from the Iberico pig. And in the Netherlands, we call this piece of meat the procureur. And to prepare it, all I have to do is season it with a little bit of PITMASTERX classic barbecue seasoning. Season, there we go. That is starting to look good. Nice even coat. And if it's good for competition, you know it's going to be amazing for backyard barbecue. This is prepared. All I need to do now is put it in the barbecue and start smoking. I'm going to be cooking this on the Borniak smoker, and this thing is absolutely perfect for cooking low and slow barbecue. Now, it's actually too easy to manage. All you have to do is put the meat in and then close the door, put some beechwood in the hopper, switch it on, set the temperature, and I'm going to be smoking at a temperature of 110 degrees Celsius. Of course, I'm going to open up the top vent and I'm going to check the bottom vent, making sure that it's open. And whenever I want, I can shut off the smoke section and just keep on warming up that money muscle. That money muscle has been smoking for over 1.5 hours. And I'm going to check the temperature to see if I hit a core temperature over 70 degrees Celsius. 55. So it's got a little longer to go. You see that 70 degrees Celsius, that is a magical number. That is when the meat stops taking on smoke flavor internally. It just keeps adding smoke flavor on the outside, but flavor-wise, you have achieved what you want at that temperature. So I guess I'll have to be patient and wait a little longer. So 2.5 hours later, and this is the result. That is one fine looking money muscle. Let's measure the core temperature, about 70 degrees Celsius. I'm going to take the money muscle out, put it on some aluminum foil, add a slice of butter to it. Don't need that much, just a little bit will do. And now wrap it back up. One over, one on the side. For pork, I just love to use aluminum foil since it retains more moisture, and that's what I'm looking for. So wrap that up, and this now goes back into the smoker. I'm going to raise the temperature from 110 up to 140 degrees Celsius. That's about 285 to 290 degrees Fahrenheit. While I wait for the money muscle, we might as well make the viral pineapple bourbon glaze. 2 weeks ago, one of the shorts on this channel went viral. And the recipe that we're making right now is the pineapple bourbon glaze recipe. Of course, it's on our website. I don't know if the amount of views that we got on the short was because of the recipe or it was because I said Worcestershire sauce instead of Worcester sauce. But who cares, because the recipe is delicious. I'm going to start with half a cup of ketchup. To that, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of pineapple juice, a tablespoon of Jack Daniel's honey, a tablespoon and a half of vinegar, 2.5 tablespoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of Worcester or Worcestershire sauce, a tablespoon of classic barbecue seasoning, and a teaspoon of chili flakes. Now, if you don't like hot and spicy, just leave the chili flakes out. Close the lid, give it a good shake, and that's how you make the pineapple bourbon glaze. Of course, you're going to perform a taste test. I write all these recipes down for you, and I put them on our website so you can try them too. And if you like them or you want to change something, please do, because I really want you to adapt the recipes that I make to your own taste. But the recipe that you get on our site is a good starting point. And the total cooking time of 5.5 hours, we've now reached a core temperature of 97 degrees Celsius. That's about to be 98 degrees Celsius, which means I'm going to need to take that off. Otherwise we're going to have pulled pork, and I want to be really, really close to pulled pork, but not get pulled pork. All right, let's take this out of the aluminum foil. Take a closer look at it. That beautiful money mussel. Now looking extremely good. Now it's time to get some of that pineapple bourbon glaze on it and create that beautiful mahogany red outside. Get that shine on. That is looking beautiful. I'm going to put this back on the smoker so I can get that glaze to get nice and sticky on the outside. There we go. Close the door. That only took 10 minutes to go from something extremely juicy to having a really nice bark because of the glaze. And that's to show you how important that glaze actually is. Don't throw this gravy away. That's the good stuff. You can always pour it later on when you have the meat on the plate. You could have it in a gravy bowl, serve it up on the table. All right, without further ado, let's slice into this. Carefully now, because it's nice and soft. That is good. Look at the juices on the knife alone. You see all that fat and all that juice? Just gonna take a slice out of this. Now you can see why it's called the money mussel. Juicy. Let's see how tender this actually is now. It just pulls apart. Still a bit hot, of course, but super, super tender. Couple of slices of this on your plate, everybody's happy. Put a little bit of gravy on it. There we go. It's just so soft, insane. That money mussel is like all these little mussels together, and then when you put them in your mouth, it falls apart. It's juicy, it's tender. Even though this is one of the most tough cuts out of the pork, it is still the most tasty and tender thing after you cooked it to perfection and smoked it for many hours to get this result. I'm loving it. To me, there's almost nothing better than a money mussel cooked the right way. Pineapple bourbon glaze is so good. It finishes the whole thing off.